The far western part of the United States may be thought of as the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and the Pacific Southwest, California, Nevada, and Arizona. More commonly, Arizona and Idaho are grouped elsewhere, leaving to the far west Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada. Within its larger unity, this region has decided contrasts. It is as new as the latest sound films from Hollywood's world-famous studios. Yet, it is older than the giant sequoias that were standing here centuries before the birth of Christ. Among the shadowy reaches of the redwood forests, the annual rainfall is more than 100 inches. Yet to the southeast lie parched deserts which receive less than 4 inches per year. In California, there are tropical fruits, oranges, lemons, dates. Yet Washington has winter sports, even in summer. Mount Whitney in California stands as the highest point of land in the 48 states. Yet less than 80 miles distant is Death Valley, nearly 300 feet below sea level. The far west is a contrast in people, the Aboriginal Indian, the Mexican, Orientals of many types, immigrants from the Mediterranean, the motion picture player, the industrial magnate, the engineer, the scholar. It has become the permanent home of many who came as vacationers to its renowned climate. Yet it is a wonderland for many thousands of migratory workers. Furthermore, the far west exhibits great contrasts in relative density of population. Most of its people live in 4 metropolitan centers along the Pacific seaboard. The far west stretches over 1,200 miles from Canada to Mexico. It is the end of the trail, not so much for the unfortunate Indians, as that it formed the western and northern limits of early Spanish exploration and colonization, the southern terminus of Russian claims in the Western Hemisphere, the southwestern limits of the Northwest Fur Empire, and, most important, the limit of westward migration within the United States. At Sutter's Mill near Sacramento, in 1849, only a year after California became a part of the United States, a rich gold strike was made, and thousands flocked to the far west. Scores of ghost towns that mushroomed up then stand lifeless, decaying today. And yet today, mining continues to be one of the far west's major activities. Giant placer mines in California annually recover their millions in precious ores. In Nevada, huge lode mining plants dig out their gold-bearing rock, in which often is a heavy mixture of silver. Production of petroleum in the far west is at present largely in southwestern California, whose forests of oil derricks indicate the richness of the deposits and place California among the leaders in petroleum production. In production by states, California is first in gold, platinum, borax, soda, mercury, iodine, potash, and silica. In petroleum, she is second. Mining is of great importance also in Nevada, gold, silver, copper, lead, and zinc being leading products. There is a distinct relation between mountains and rainfall in the distribution of the timber resources of the far west. This makes Washington and Oregon the nation's leading states in lumber production. The life of the lumberjack attracts hardy men, men who are not afraid of work. For there is still work and danger for the men who fell the big trees of redwood, pine, and tamarack. Mechanical improvements, however, have taken away some of the back-breaking part. Today, modern trucks and tractors get the giant logs from forest to mill. Several billion board feet of lumber come from the mills of the far western states each year. To protect timber resources, there have been established more than a score of national forests throughout the far west. Replanting is another method of conserving the great forest resources of the region. Other tree planters have been amply repaid for their efforts. Washington ranks first in the nation in apple production and is a leader in other fruits and berries. Here are the chief apple regions of the Pacific Northwest, mainly in Washington. Along with Washington's apples, Oregon's famous pears, apricots, and small fruits are in great demand. In the green valleys of Washington and Oregon, with their remarkable climate, world record dairy cattle are being bred and tested. This world's champion produced 42,000 pounds of milk in a single year. East of the lofty Sierra Mountains centered about Spokane, Washington, the valleys of the Columbia and Snake Rivers wander through a vast dry plateau called the Inland Empire. On the hillsides, dry farming methods produce great crops of winter wheat. Many valleys of this region have been transformed by irrigation into veritable garden spots. Heavy harvests of fruit, potatoes, and sugar beets with never a failure. This subregion is also well known for its heavy crops of hay. With the completion of the Grand Coulee Dam and reclamation area, irrigation watering will bring thousands more farm families into the Inland Empire, and it will produce even greater amounts of farm crops. In other parts of the dry Intermountain region, cattle ranching is a leading activity. To the southwest, in central California, lies another farm area, the gigantic Sacramento-San Joaquin Valley. On the hills and mountains around its borders are vast herds of sheep, which make California a leader in mutton and wool production. The valley itself is one of the finest garden spots of the world. Here are raised millions of dollars worth of a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, and farm crops. Here many of the Far West's 165,000 Orientals work or own land. Here are located the world's largest fruit canneries, the world's greatest fruit drying sheds. The moist western slopes of the high snow-capped Sierras furnish water for irrigation when needed in the Great Valley, although there generally is good rainfall. At the south end, California's great orange growing region begins, supplying most of the country's oranges. Far to the southeast and extending into Mexico is another garden spot, the Imperial Valley. Here canals from the turbulent Colorado provide irrigation water. In the Imperial Valley, all manner of truck and vegetable farming is carried on, and dates and other tropical fruits are grown as nowhere else in the United States. Because vast distances from eastern manufacturing centers have made transportation costs so high, the Far West is developing many of its own manufacturing and processing plants. Food processing plants also reduce the cost of shipping food, such as fruits and fish, to other regions. Nearly 1/3 of the nation's fish products come from the Far West. Good harbors are necessary because of the vast extent and range of activities of this rich section. San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle are world famous. California, with its steep, well-watered Sierra slopes, indicated here by the light band, possesses gigantic hydroelectric power. So too in the Pacific Northwest, in Oregon and Washington. Washington alone has 1/6 of the total potential water power of the United States. At present, California is the greatest producer of hydroelectric power. These projects give the Far West the country's best coverage of electric lighting, from large city to isolated farmhouse. The educational institutions of the Far West are outstanding. Geared to the new task of integrating education with reality, they're training youth for vocations involving an appreciation of the resources of the region. Thus, the Far West, leading the nation in hydroelectric power, seafood products, dairy products, resources and cutting of timber, with 1/5 of the apples, 9/10 of the grapes, 2/3 of the oranges, nearly all the tropical fruits, 70% of the precious metals, and nearly all the entertainment films used in the United States, which go also far and wide over the earth. So the Far West is the leader in the production of many vital necessities, not only for other regions of the United States, but for the whole world. And as it receives in turn from the Middle States autos and other machines, metals and wheat from Northwest and Southwest, manufactures from the land of contrasts, typifies the great complex states of America.